Um, our topic for today is the Holocaust denial in its various forms. And of course, the question is, how come can one deny an event that took place in history, that there are evidences, physical evidences, there are testimonies, there are survivors, there are the physical places where it happened, etc., etc. How can one get up and say it never happened? Here, let me say that, and I'm sure all of you know it, that there is this gross Holocaust denial, which says did not happen. And it has also other milder forms, which say, well, happened, but not in such numbers, not in such intensity, not in such methods. Other compare it to, say it's not unique, it is comparable to other events. Others say, well, everyone was a victim under the Nazis and then under the Soviets. So it has a lot of grades, I would say, and a lot of levels. Let me first start with a general feeling that I think sustains and supports Holocaust denial because the Holocaust is such a heavy, cruel, unprecedented, terrible event that one cannot live with it for a long time, for decades, and second generation and third generation. It is a heavy burden. For whom? It is, first of all, a heavy burden for not only the perpetrators, of whom many are not alive anymore, but the second generation and the third generation. We are not speaking only about German perpetrators, but about collaborators from many countries, from French police to Lithuanian killers, 12th Battalion. So you have second generation and you have third one today too, for whom thinking and accepting that the Holocaust was not that terrible and not that cruel and not in such dimensions, this makes it easier for them to live with and with the memory of the families. There is also, of course, the national dimension. National societies, national countries that deal with the memory of World War II. If they have to admit that they cooperated, collaborated, that they yielded to the German army and then collaborated with the Nazis and then gave in their Jewish citizens, etc., then later having the historical account straight is a problem. And I remember when it was published that President Mitterrand in France told Serge Klarsfeld, you spoil the national appeasement, which means in other words, you're a nudnik. You come here with a story here and again, and you give us the lists, and you remind us of the day we sent the Jews away, etc., etc. We want national appeasement. And this is in many places. So today, there is some rewriting, as in many issues. In the issue of World War II, there is also some rewriting, and it makes it easier to think that it wasn't that terrible. One more is the Christian, the Christian level. And the Christian level is also very evident, because if Christians did it and they have to deal with the fact that they did it, then it calls for soul searching of themselves as Christians. So this is also quite a problem. Also, let me say that it is very difficult to understand the Holocaust, to understand what happened, why 6 million, why the enormity, why the cruelty. And since it is so illogical, it is easier to think it did not happen than to think it happened. So there are a number of waves or undercurrents that make a Holocaust denial not even in its gross form, but make it more acceptable and easier to live with. there is legislation in a number of countries, more or less 12 European countries, against Holocaust denial, though one can argue that it belongs or falls under the category of freedom of speech, because Holocaust deniers, the hardcore, the 20, 30 professional Holocaust deniers, they are not violent people. They just write their theories. But what they write is anti-Semitic and falls under a category of a law against anti-Semitism and against Holocaust denial, because it depicts an image of the Jewish people that is under another category, and this is one of incitement. Because what do they say? What did the Holocaust cause? When you speak about Holocaust denial, what do you say? You say that Jews invented it, it never happened, which means that they are a liar, suffering from a sick imagination. They invented horrible stories that occurred only in their minds. They are cruel because they have been cruel too. They are egoists because they always speak about their own suffering. They are greedy because they want the money back and no one took it from them and their property. So in other words, Holocaust denial in its various forms, even not only the gross one, depicts a terrible image of the Jew that causes anti-Semitism, reflects anti-Semitism, and needs to be tackled with.